Hey dumplings, it's Dave Desai. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to get into Irene from Red Velvet and our lovely Taehyung boy. I wanted to get into these theories. There was a recent event that was hosted and people are talking about this event and what Irene said about Taehyung apparently. I also want to get into BTS members and even Suga talking about initially not liking Taehyung and what happened with that. So grab your dumpling or tea spilling mug merch and let's jump into the thing. If you're new here and you're interested in this type of stuff, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and that notification bell to be notified anytime a new video drops. Any of you who's a hater, like to be first to leave your hate comment, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and that notification bell also, and you can be the first to do so. Now let's jump into it. The first thing I want to get into was a particular event that Irene was at. Of course, Irene and Red Velvet are at a lot of events, so nothing shocking there. This is what idols do. But let me just set the mood here and explain the situation. Korean fan signs and fan meets are a little different than some of the American ones. The idols usually sit at a table and then they'll do skits or funny things in the beginning of the event, and then you can go up to the table and talk to each of the idols individually and all that. There's also a lot of fewer people at these events than at a concert, so fans can scream out things during their skits and stuff like that, and these idols will still hear it and be able to reply. So things like I love you or even request if that is appropriate to the skit the idols are doing. These fan meets are definitely more high effort and require the idols to fully be there. They have to engage with each of the fans, look them in the eye, and really interact with them and just be in that moment. Most idols also try to ensure that each person that comes up gets a good custom experience. This is why these events are oftentimes where some information or cute things can happen. Not that they do happen all the time, but they most definitely can happen. The idol sometimes puts their guard down. Also, they should have no reason to have their guard up. In these events, your phone or cameras are usually asked to be taken, or you're going by an honor code that you won't record at these events. I don't know if this is the case for every event and every group. These rules can be more relaxed depending on the label or whatever. But typically they don't want you to record because they don't want the little private things the fans or armies would say to the boys or to Red Velvet get leaked, but also they don't want situations where it may seem like one of the members is getting very touchy with someone who came up or whatever it is. People can often spin those and change the story. Similar to what we are talking about today. So oftentimes if you see these recordings, it can either be a Saeson fan, stalker fans, who specifically attend the fan sign and meet and greet event or whatever just to record the whole thing and leak it on their social media. And y'all, these Saeson social media accounts have like hundreds of thousands of followers. So the clips do go viral. Another reason for people recording can just be because they didn't know if they weren't supposed to. And that's definitely not as big of a deal. Irene was on stage in this one particular clip and some of the fans were screaming something at her. Not mean things or anything like that, but apparently Taehyung's name. She heard this and wanted to acknowledge this. Oftentimes in fan meets and things like that, people will scream out names in hopes of getting a shout out with that name. So they'll scream their mom's name or whatever. And idols and celebrities do this all the time, so when they hear a name, they're just like, oh, Jack, love you, Jack, hope you're happy, whatever. And they don't have to know who Jack is. They can just say it and make people happy. So someone was screaming at Taehyung, and it's a fairly common name in Korea, so she just said, Taehyung in my heart, probably not fully understanding who the fan might be talking about, thinking the fan could be named Taehyung or whatever. Someone then right away said, say I love you, V, to Irene, and Irene immediately got kind of distant, and she looked like she kind of regretted saying anything at all about Taehyung. And she wanted to retract that because she didn't know this person meant Taehyung from BTS. As you would be able to see from the clip, she did not acknowledge the name V because that would be obviously Taehyung from BTS, not Taehyung as in any other person with that name. This clip was talked about a lot, but another theory that rose from the fandom was the legitimacy of the clip and if it was actually real. One, is the translation even accurate, or was it something that sounded like Taehyung, but it was another word? Taehyung's name in Korean means all wishes come true or something like that, which quite honestly would match the phrase Irene said, Taehyung is in my heart, much more. Like that would make sense. Of course, as always, given of course this was translated from Korean and it was a fan clip that could have been edited or whatever, it's difficult to tell what really happened or not. For the most part, these clips are great to use if writing fanfic or anything like that, but as for the full legitimacy of whether she admitted to loving Taehyung or acknowledging Taehyung from BTS, we don't know. She definitely did not want to say the name V, so to me it shows that she didn't know that the audience meant Taehyung from BTS. But also keep in mind that while BTS is very big and very famous, the world doesn't revolve around any particular celebrity. Not every word would be associated with someone from BTS. There's also a Taehyung from Big Bang who got married and might have a kid now, I don't know. So in my heart could be referring to that marriage. Again, many theories are likely. She obviously stopped talking immediately when she heard V, and she didn't want to continue. Of course, she isn't going to want to sit there and be like, oh my god, no, not BTS, because it just makes the thing bigger. She can simply choose to ignore it and hope it wasn't caught on camera or whatever, and then move on, which she did. But I did think the clip was cute, and I'm glad I got an opportunity to give my thoughts on this and discuss. Of course, if an idol decides to date whatever idol, that's bound to happen, and eventually we are going to see BTS or Red Velvet date more. Whether our Taehyung boy will date other idols is still up in the air. I do think BTS in general would date another idol, but it would just be maybe after their time or more past their fame time. I was very shocked to see in a clip of BTS and what their opinions are of Taehyung and what Taehyung does. And apparently when they all first met Taehyung, they didn't seem to like him much, which breaks my heart. I think each of the members of BTS, especially the maknae line, had a lot of difficulty with figuring out who they were as a person and who they wanted to be. My personal opinion is that most non-celebrity people like you and I would mature mentally in their late 30s and early 40s. I would say this is well past everyone's party phase. They're ready to settle down and take life more seriously. If you're still partying at that age, that's fine too, but the majority, I believe, is not partying as much at that age. When you're younger, especially at the maknae line age, when they debuted, you're still trying to figure out who you are, and you don't get time to wait until you're 30 or 40. You gotta mature immediately due to fame, and they probably matured in their 20s. Whereas the Hyung line was mostly 20 or near 20 already, probably already somewhat knew what type of person they wanted to be before they debuted. So of course, everyone can imagine Taehyung struggling a little bit with himself, not really understanding what he needs to do, and maybe even just doing awkward and weird things that would bug the rest of the members, which we all do. I still do weird things. Jin was one of the first people to be very open about this idea when he first met Taehyung. He thought that Taehyung was a little weird, but he admitted that it was good for entertainment. Now this is all alleged because it was probably in Korean, and as I mentioned before, things get translated in a wonky way. We all know that Taehyung is very sensitive and is probably the type to take notice of little things, and maybe even little things that a lot of us might be like, who cares? One example I can think of is a moment where Taehyung found an earring on stage while BTS was on stage. This was during an award show, and it wasn't their earring or an ARMY. It was likely any of the girls that were on the stage prior to BTS being on it. Taehyung picked it up and looked at it and even showed Jimin, and Jimin was like, who cares? J-Hope apparently talked about Taehyung and one time even told Taehyung to not do such weird things. This wasn't related to the earring, but probably just in general. They described Taehyung as someone with a unique charm and a carefree personality. This is definitely something that is very fun to watch and very lovable, but I can see it as something maybe less desirable when you're working with this type of person, because maybe you're like, let's go, we gotta go. And Taehyung is over there like, I love laying on this couch, or whatever. But we ARMYs definitely love him, and of course BTS loves him as well. Suga said something similar, that Taehyung has this carefree thing about him, but also that it is amazing for entertainment, and he is someone that makes BTS very popular. Because people see this and immediately fall in love. It's a struggle that I see a lot of celebrities have, which is this idea that if you act a way that is relatable, because that is just human, it'll be difficult to get the work they need to get done. Like being lazy is relatable, spending your days doing nothing is relatable. But the mass public would also prefer you be someone who is super skinny and has abs. So it's like, okay, they then work out for 8 hours a day and then they look like a god. But then they can't even publicly say they work out, because then people are like, that's not relatable. They won't have a successful career unless they look hot. So it's always this battle of needing to do what the industry demands, but also somehow still try to be relatable. And then you get Jennifer Lawrence, but that's a whole other convo. And maybe Taehyung doesn't care too much about being either of those things, and he just cares about doing what makes him happy, or at least he did. To which he apparently did say he was working on doing things that will make everyone happy, not just himself, because BTS is a group, and if one person slacks off, it can be difficult. Regardless, they all obviously love him very much, and so do we. Let me know what you think, let me know what your thoughts are, leave it down in the comment section down below. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'm featuring this comment right here. Thank you so much for leaving comments. And as always, I do have a Patreon if you want to go over there and check that out. I have a lot of videos over there that I can't really post on here. This is due to copyright or getting taken down, so I do keep it over there on my Patreon. You can get videos over there like music video reactions, performance reactions, ship reactions. You can also recommend things you'd like to see over there. We do have a great time interacting and having fun over there as well, so if you're interested in any of that, please make sure you go over there and check it out. I also have a video over there that kind of goes over how you can support this channel even more if you would like to do that, so make sure you go over there and check that out. With that said, there's 2 videos that will appear up on screen at the end of this video, so click on one of those and I'll see you over there. Bye.